Here tonight. Excited to have you. And Gulnaz and Jate, I'm happy to chat offline about some of the similarities and differences. The one cool thing about this, which we'll get into, is that it is an evergreen certificate with a cuddly badge, things like that. And we can chat a bit more about it throughout the presentation.
Yeah, I saw that, and so that's why I'm really excited to learn more and kind of see what the program is about. And then also, I don't know if Mrs. Young remembers, but I used to work with her husband at NetFM, and I know we went out to dinner like once or twice before. But once I saw her on there, I was like, oh, I absolutely have to get a part of this because they're an amazing couple and they're go-getters in both of their industries. So I knew I had to start and see what it's about.
I love that. Wonderful connection.
Yes, so good to see you. And thanks for remembering me.
Of course.
Brings a lot of warmth. And I will definitely let Charles know that you were on. And he is doing phenomenal, by the way.
Yes, I don't doubt it. Charles is an amazing person, so I don't doubt it.
I want to welcome Janae, our prized alumna, who's going to be sharing a little bit about her experience soon. Thanks for being here, Janae, and welcome to Victor. Glad to have you tonight. I know it's right at 5:01. Let me give it one more second and we'll kind of dive in and I'll get us started. One more minute, because I know we had quite a few. Hopefully register. Oh, here comes Ebony. Hopefully the registration and the link was easy for everybody. Welcome, Ebony. We're excited to have you here. We're just about to get started. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, well, I want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know it's just after 5. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. We just had another come in. I'm going to give her a welcome. And then as people file in, welcome, Brittany. Happy to have you here with us tonight. Thanks for being here. Just starting to get started. Very happy to have you all exploring our Pepperdine Consulting Certificate in partnership with the Graduate School of Education and Psychology and Kairos Consulting Lab. I think one of the things you'll find through the certificate that really differentiates itself from other programs in any of the schools at Pepperdine is we really teach you how to monetize, how to take the learning that you're going to have through this program and maybe that you've had in your own educational journey and how to make money and how to do it in a smart way, how to move through the accounting and the legal pieces of it so that you can really protect yourself as you move forward as a consultant. Tonight, what you're going to do is you're going to hear a little bit from our core team. You're going to hear a little bit about some of our guest faculty experts that we bring in to this program. We're going to go over the curriculum of the program. We're going to share with you what your commitment will be. That's your time, your energy, and your money. We have a guest alumna here tonight who's going to share a little bit about her experience and how within 5 months after finishing this program, she not only landed her first consulting client, but has brought back in a return on investment of 3 times the cost of the program. And we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A. So if you have questions for myself, or any of the faculty, or for our alumna, please pepper those into the chat and we'll be sure to get to those during the Q&A session. And now I'd like to toss it over to my amazing colleague, Dr. Ed Ng. I think of him as a Renaissance man. He is doing so many great things in the Los Angeles area, from being a mayor, executive director of the County of Los Angeles. But I'll let him share a little bit about himself. Take it away, Dr. Ng.
Hey, thanks a lot, Rachel. How's everybody doing? Good evening, and welcome to our program. My expertise is in strategy, and I'm also, as Rachel said, mayor of a city with 50,000 residents. I'm a board advisor / consultant, and I'm also a professor of management. And so that's a little bit about me, and let me pass it back on to you, Rachel.
Thanks so much, Ed. I am thrilled to be your executive coach throughout this program. I am a higher education consultant. Some of you have worked with me in the past. For this team, I'm our business development strategist. I'm also the founder of Opportune, And I have a master's and finishing my doctorate, just passed my prelims last week. So very excited about that. I just moved into a new role with university advancement here at Pepperdine after 8 years with the business school. And I'm very excited to also introduce you to a dear friend and colleague, Leslie Young.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So yes, I also am just absolutely in love with helping organizations just grow and excel and find whatever their efficiency is. So I am a founder and principal consultant at MBM Advisory. And I actually opened up MBM Advisory. I was working on consulting, but I actually opened it right immediately after I graduated from this program, and I obtained my certificate through Kairos Consulting. And I absolutely fell in love with what I was able to learn. And so I'm really, really excited to have all you here. And I think that you'll find a lot of what we're going to share with you today is really going to drive it home as to how this program is very different in terms of how we're going to teach you to, like Rachel said, to really monetize your what you've spent so much time building as a skill set or professional experience for yourself. I will also add, so I am a founder and director of in-person learning. I do have a passion for emotional intelligence in the workforce. So that particular company is actually dedicated to research and development. I am a business expansion strategist, leadership development expert. I love team building workshops. I am an SML Pepperdine graduate. As well as a current university professor at the University of San Diego. I recently was able to obtain a position at a nonprofit organization by the name of Human Good, and I am operating there as a director of sales. So a little bit about us. I'll send it back to you, Rach.
Well, one thing I want you to really understand is this core team is committed to your success. And we also have another group of people that we bring in, and I'm going to have Ed share a little bit about these faculty experts. Ed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. So essentially, if you go through an MBA program, which I have gone through, you're going to learn a couple of things. You're going to learn leadership, which most of you already are doing now. You're going to learn finance. You're going to learn strategy, economics, and probably project management. That's the core curriculum. But when I was done with my MBA, I felt like I can only use maybe 10% of it. What I was lacking was accounting, how to manage my finances when you become a CEO of your own company. And I realized that you needed tax structure advices. So we have that as well. So we actually brought in an expert in accounting who's going to tell you how to set up, teach you how to set up your balance sheet for your business. And then we're going to have I can't see actually with this thing on. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the legal form, a lawyer who's going to teach you the best legal structure for your business. Could be an LLC, it could be other forms. But with those two things together, now you can actually begin to monetize your expertise. And then we also brought two more people in. Dr. Santor Nishizaki, he's a professor at Pepperdine University. He is actually just published his first book, and he's also a guest instructor, and he's going to be focusing on marketing. And then with the 21st century demands on companies, you need to learn how to manipulate and manage data. And we have Brandon Alexander, who's a data analytics expert. He's has his two companies. He's a founder of two startups. He worked for some of the world's most valuable companies, including Amazon, Google, eBay. So he's your data expert, and he's going to teach you his data model so that once you understand the learning aspect, the process, you'll be able to take any data and be able to make sense out of it. So these are guest faculty experts. Each one is going to teach you one subject that is critical to the entire process of consulting. So I began the story about my MBA program, and when I graduated, I felt like I can only use maybe 10% of what I learned. So I ended up, wasn't a bad, path. I ended up becoming a Fortune 300 executive. I was the regional president of the LA Times. But in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be my own boss. And I have a little coaching business on the side, as well as when I was going through my doctorate cohort, all my classmates tell me, you know what, I want to start my own business. Other people would tell me, I just want autonomy. I just want to work whenever I want. I just want to have the freedom of mind, not having a boss and follow my passion. So that was the beginning and the birth of this program. It's really about stripping out 90% of the MBA fat and retaining 10% of what you need to start your own business and begin monetizing your expertise. So that's how the certificate program started. And I can tell you, every session is hard hitting. Every session is about practical applications. Every session, you're going to be able to learn it and apply it right away.
All right, thank you, Ed. So now we're going to dive a little bit into the curriculum. So I'm going to give you guys just a very high level highlight of the curriculum, but I want to make sure that, you know, at the very end of this particular slide, that we take a moment, if you guys have any questions, specifically how any of these particular subjects pertain to how we're going to make this subject matter turn into money for me. So the curriculum, we start with the consulting process. We teach problem solving models for business, you know, a series of different frameworks, strategy frameworks, data analytic frameworks, which Brandon, you know, like we talked about earlier, is an experienced Fortune 500 expert at the data analytics. The legal structure, so again, how you're going to structure your business, the tax benefits, how are you going to then, you know, based off of the legal structure, how are you going to ensure that the way that you are structuring the tax side of your business, and if you have employees or if you plan on having employees, if you have an idea of how you want to actually structure, you know, your consulting in itself, what kind of benefits are there for you? Personal branding, such a big area of this particular curriculum. Because it really is you that you're selling, right? It's everything that you've acquired through your experience, through your MBA, through your education, you know, whatever it is, your master's, your bachelor's degree, the passion that you are then bringing into alignment with your experience and your education. We've got to know how to personally brand ourselves, because we are a walking business. And so Rachel actually is the one that teaches us how we are going to be able to do that. How do we get in front of a client and get ready to have those conversations? How do we position ourselves to ensure that all of our material is actually, you know, also speaking about who we are and what we have to offer? The consultative sales that follows that personal branding as well. And real hands-on projects. So we actually work hand in hand with an organization who is facing a specific challenge, and we work as a team or in a series of teams to actually consult with that organization. So you're going to have very practical, real hands-on experience, you know, through the coaches that form part of the group of the consulting certificate. You're going to be able to ask questions. You know, I act as the project manager as well. So you'll be meeting one-on-one with me to see where you are, what frameworks are you analyzing, what frameworks are you utilizing based off of the challenge that was presented? And is that the best framework, right? Is that the best way to look at it? And we really challenge you through those interactions, those one-on-one sessions that we're having offline, off of the regular Saturday meetings, where you're really digging into the work. And we challenge you to just think outside the box, think critically, and really some of those opportunities also allow for you to actually become an employee or a consultant, a hired consultant through that company that you're consulting with, because you do a real life presentation through the research and everything that you've acquired through the program, and you present that back to the organization that we're helping. So it is real, it's legitimate. You get real feedback from us, real feedback from the company that we're assisting and helping. So you'll be able to learn a lot just from that as well. We talked about the one-on-one coaching that happens offline, but aside from that, you also get a one-on-one coaching with a faculty member of your choice. So you have the opportunity to sit down after the program is done for those 4 weeks and have an hour of a session with whomever you choose to really sit down and say, did I get this right? What do you think about my mission statement? What do you think about the personal branding, information that I learned? This is how I want to position myself. What are your thoughts? And so, it allows for you to have that opportunity and truly and honestly, you have that one-on-one coaching, but we all become, a family for life. It's true. And, I can only speak from my experience, but I know that everyone else feels the same. I spoke about the in-person leading that I have, the research and development. Through that curriculum design, I have one of the alumni that also was part of the program, and she's also helping me with the curriculum design, making sure that I am, the grants that I'm applying for are correct, and that, if there's any feedback or any insight that she can provide, that's my partner, and we've been able to build that relationship outside of this program. So it really becomes, just far more than you being able to have a one-on-one session with a faculty member of your choice. We truly become family. So, aside from that, I want to add there's such a diversity with the backgrounds that are coming in to join the team, right? So you're never gonna, you're going to be coming into a team that potentially has such different perspectives from different parts of the world with different levels of experience. And so that in itself is so valuable. And then finally, you've got the Evergreen certificate. My husband actually was just telling me, I just got the reminder to renew my green belt with his Six Sigma. And, he's like, man, I can't believe you guys do the Evergreen. That's so awesome. Like, I would pay for it because I wouldn't have to keep renewing every so many years, to have to polish up on this information. This is information that stays with us. And, I get to keep the slide deck after I go through it as an alumni. I have this alumni of a family that I can reach out to. And if something's not clear, I can't remember, I have the ability to go back and ask. So it is an Evergreen certificate that does not expire. You have a physical copy and also a digital badge that you acquire through that certification. Awesome. And so I know I dove a little bit there in depth, and I'm sure that if you guys had any questions, we'll go through it through the Q&A. So I do apologize. But now when we talk about the real hands-on experience, the commitment that it's going to require from you. So you do have class meetings. They are 3 hours and they're only 4 days. So for a total of 12 hours. And they are on Saturdays from 8 to 11. Now we did write, 12 o'clock because there are some sessions that sometimes run a little bit past 11. It's very important, for us to make sure that if we're really, if we hit a spot where we're really hitting on a certain subject matter and momentum is there, and we've got a lot of inquiry and questions and a lot of good information that's coming forth, we definitely don't want to cut that session short. So we tell the team, plan to leave or to be completely finished by 12. Because you may hang out after and want to have some questions for yourself about the consulting organization that you're working alongside with, or maybe about some of the subject that we covered that particular day. For this particular cohort, we are going to be doing it October 1st, the 8th, the 15th, and the 29th. There is the case study and research time. We talked a little bit about having that offline one-on-one session that takes place with you, myself and your team. And so that is approximately 6 to 10 hours, guys. That is team work or independent work where you are actually doing research. You are trying to find information. You are trying to build your case, with this organization of this real hands-on project that you're working through. You are going to be working in teams, assignment of scope, design, and delivery. So there's going to be certain things that you're going to be assigned to deliver for that particular project. And of course, we want to make sure that we put you in a place that you feel that you can thrive in, but we're also open to putting you in a place where you want to be challenged, because this is what this program is about, right? We want you to end the program and feel really good about yourself and about where you're going and how you're going to turn this into money. And then the presentation to the client. So that's the commitment. In terms of the research and the application, I've talked a little bit about it, but real case studies, we're going to be looking at some real company challenges that maybe you are privy to, or maybe you've read through or studied through your master's program, world-class faculty guidance. So again, if I can't even, say enough about the faculty that we have on board. This is a faculty that really, really, truly cares about your success. I think that all of us that are here, Rachel, Ed, and Janae, including myself, we truly do this because we feel that there's success in what we've been able to do in our lives by giving back and serving through the experience and the education that we've acquired. And we want to give that to you so that you also have the opportunity to do that, right? Many times it's not just about, I want to open up my consulting business and I want to just be my own boss from sunrise to sundown, but sometimes it's that passive income that you want, right? Maybe you want to design a class, maybe you want to record yourself having a consulting session or teaching of some sort, and this also helps you do that. So for many of us, this is not just our only source of income, this is an addition to. And so it's really important for you guys to understand that we truly are coming from the heart when we say that we want you guys to succeed at this. The real consulting business case with the client, the research support by the faculty, the analysis delivery, and then of course the client consulting report and presentation. So we are very in depth with what you guys come up with and how we definitely want to give you the freedom, but we also want to make sure that you're prepared so that you can always take that experience and say, okay, how can I use this as my baseline, right? As I look at other organizations that I want to consult with and address their challenges, this is my baseline. So am I thinking about it the way that I was thinking about it then? So this is the real hands-on experience. Thank you, Rachel. So we talked about what you get, right? You have the opportunity here to transform, your skill set into monetary value. And so with that comes your LinkedIn credibility badge, and it's a Credly badge. You can actually get this certified through LinkedIn, and you can see there the Pepperdine certificate. So I actually don't have mine on the wall. I know Rachel does at her home, but it's a very neat certificate that gets issued by GSEP, the Education and Psychology department there at Pepperdine. So I know that there's going to be possibly some questions, and I can go on and on about how incredible this program is and just what I was able to learn from it. But we have actually someone that has joined us, and her name is Janae, and I'm going to allow for Rachel to actually give the presentation she deserves, because Rachel knows her closely and she has worked alongside her, and Janae has just been such an incredible member of Kairos Consulting and Pepperdine's Consulting Certificate. So without saying too much more, Rachel, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks so much, Leslie. Yeah, it's truly an honor to introduce Janae. I remember meeting Janae in person at Pepperdine. One thing that wasn't on one of those slides is all those classes are virtual, by the way. But I did get the opportunity to meet Janae in person, and we've since had lunch together, and I saw her thrive through this certificate program. Janae is really somebody that's doing some great things in our community, in our shared world. She is a community benefit health manager at Kaiser Permanente. She's an adjunct professor at Charles Drew University. She's the founder and creator of Blacksinated. You haven't heard about it, check it out. They're doing some really incredible things through this pandemic. And she's also the founder and creator of Mindful Beauty. I know she's also incubating another great nonprofit, Women Supporting Women. So I don't know if I need to have that on there, but it's not on there yet. I need to add that. She's a doctoral candidate at the Graduate School of Education and Psychology here at Pepperdine. She has a master's in public health. She has a master's in public administration. She has a bachelor's in political science. She is just a beautiful human being. I feel so blessed that I've got to know her. And I love the fact that she landed that first consulting contract after about 5 months from completing the course. I'm going to open it up to Janae to share a little bit about her experience as a student and after as an alum. And then, feel free to think of some questions you might have for Janae as well. Janae.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. And it's really good to see you. It feels like it's been a while, especially since I've seen Dr. Ng and Leslie as well. So as Rachel said, I am a third-year doctoral student, and she shared a lot about my background. A lot of it is related to philanthropy and sort of supporting nonprofit organizations as they're applying for grants to the hospital that I work for. And I try to do that in an equity lens, using an equity lens. I also teach, as Rachel talked about, and I know you've already heard a lot about the program, sort of the curriculum, and now I want to talk to you about the benefits. So you heard Leslie mention that, you know, these opportunities for passive income, right? And I think for me, you know, I'm working full time, and so I'm not ready to kind of step away from my full-time job, but I consider what I've been able to accomplish since the program more of my side hustles, right? So that those multiple streams of income that you try to secure. So let me do a little bragging now about what I've been able to accomplish. And I really attribute it to the program because, you know what you know, and then you know what you don't know what you don't know, right? So I think I had some ideas about what it meant to be a consultant, but I think getting a lot of the education and just hearing from the experts that were visiting the course, and of course, Dr. Ng's years of experience really helped me to just solidify some opportunities that came about. So the first one, and this was sort of right out of the gate, I learned about a program through the city of Los Angeles, through one of the council district offices, where they were redirecting some of the police funds to the community, right? Redirecting those dollars. And there was a lead consultant working on that project who I was familiar with just from my own community work. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, you know, is it possible that I can work with you? I can partner with you, do some subcontracting with you. This is my experience. And immediately, because I was also like a resident of that council district, the lead consultant said, I would love to entertain a conversation with you. And I was able to secure a subcontract with this lead consultant who was not even thinking about me. I was not on her radar for any opportunity. But because I felt like I had more of the confidence, right, to come to the table to say, this is what I bring, this is my value proposition, this is how I can benefit the work that you're already doing and bring me onto your team. And she did just that. And so I've been working with the Jamat Rollins group for now about 6 months. I'm working with a lot of the nonprofit organizations that are applying for grants through the city of LA and through that funding opportunity. So that's the first one. And Rachel mentioned that I recouped like 3 times the funding from the program, but now I'm feeling like it's more like 10 times over. Right. So I'm like, okay, you know, not only did I get my money back, I got a little and then some, right. And then some. So this has really panned out well. In addition to that, and the team doesn't even know this either. So Women Supporting Women is a group that we kind of founded at Pepperdine University through a class that I was taking. And Kaiser Permanente sponsors a lot of nonprofit organizations. So I was at a community event and just talking to an executive director, and she said, I have, you know, this opportunity. We have grant dollars to do some capacity building within our organization for our staff and do succession planning. And she said, do you know anyone? I'm like, of course I do. I definitely know some people. And I talked to her about this group, Women Supporting Women, who it's not officially an LLC, but we have been doing some talking about this. These women are also, by the way, in the doctoral program at Pepperdine. And we were able to secure another contract just like that. We got another contract. It's a smaller one, but that group, I kind of passed it off to them and said, this is their level of expertise. And so now I'm almost like brokering, right? I'm like a broker for other people to get consulting jobs. So it's not even just about me. And then a couple more things that I'll share is Rachel mentioned Blackcinated. So that's a program that I started to help increase awareness and education around the COVID-19 vaccine, specifically around for African Americans. And I got recently a trademark that I was able to get for Blackcinated, which I started it in early 2021. but I had not really thought about like, oh, I should get this trademarked. And it wasn't until I really took the consulting class that I was like, why am I not trademarked for this? You know, this is something that potentially not just could be monetized, but would have the opportunity to go more national, right? To like really spread the word from a public health standpoint. The last thing that I will share is, and this is also groundbreaking, but within my own organization, you know, people, I think they must have been sneaking on my LinkedIn, but they found out that I like did this consulting program, saw the beautiful certificate that I posted and I was bragging about. And I got offered a lead consultant position within Kaiser Permanente, within the department that I'm working in. So I'm just like, I feel like it's just, again, 10 times over. You know, it's just limitless, right? It's limitless in terms of the opportunities that have just opened up for me. And I really do, again, just want to recognize the work of Dr. Ng and sort of being available to me as a former participant. I mean, I could email him and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this. And he's always answering emails, very responsive. And I've actually brought him into our Women Supporting Women group to give some advisement to our group to say, you know, hey, how can we, you know, kind of further define our niche and what we want to do as a group. And so he's been available just without hesitancy. And I've also got to meet with Rachel over at Thai food. So it is like a family. We're always kind of, you know, just crossing paths and have some new social media friends. And it's just been a wonderful experience. So the point is, you definitely will not go wrong with joining this program. You definitely will reap a lot of benefits and again, build like a lifelong network. So go for it. I say go for it. Get in the program, dig your heels in, and you really will make it what it needs to be, right? Like you are the person that will really make sure that, you know, you get the value from the program by really being present. You hit the ground running from day one. So there's no time for like, you know, I was like, oh, we're already going, wait. So there, you know, there's not a pause, you know, you're really kind of hitting the ground running from day one and meeting with groups and getting some hands-on experience with businesses that you may not have ever worked with. So I'm really appreciative and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Janae. I love hearing your testimony about the experience that you had. And I love hearing that you've had your return on investment now 10 times over. And I think, you know, I think what's also special is you've learned how to have that confidence that, you know, you really have the goods. And I think this certificate took you to that next level. And I think that's what we hope that all of you can do. I know some of you might already have a PhD, might already have many different types of degrees, and still you're kind of a deer in headlights, like, where am I going to go with this? And I think this will help kind of clear out those cobwebs and help you really figure out how to look at what you want to do. I love what Ed says, like blue ocean, how to be the one big shark in the blue ocean, but I'll leave that for him to share later. Is should you enroll. Now, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, well, what is my investment beyond my time? We do give a 10% discount to our Pepperdine family. This is a certificate that's going to cost you around $2,695. I think I've shaved off that 50 cents. So just go ahead and don't even pay attention to that. But I want you to know that as an alum of this program, you can also refer people in the future, and we give you some benefits for that. So if you're knee deep in a program and you're not able to launch your business right away, if you can kind of share your testimony and we can bring other people in the future, we're going to give you some monetary opportunities as well. We do have payment plans available. This is a certificate program through a partnership with the Pepperdine University Graduate School of Education and Psychology, which means it's different from how you pay tuition regularly. If you are a Pepperdine student, you know, you go under your WaveNet, you make your payments through your FAFSA awards or through a bank account. Well, with this, we can actually do an invoice for you. You can use a credit card if you'd like. We do absorb the credit card fees, and they're not cheap. So I don't want to have extensive payment plans over long periods of time, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to host this early. So if you do need some payment plans, you can maybe make 2 to 3 payments. We do want to have all of your payments in before the program starts, at the least by the time the program ends. We will not be able to give you your certificate if you don't complete your project, you don't complete your payment plan, you don't complete your presentation. But let me tell you, we've had 100% success rate. So if a payment plan is, or the payment is a barrier for you, let's chat. I know a lot of people ask me, well, can I use my FAFSA funds? Well, you can use your FAFSA funds to buy books, to buy a computer, to buy whiskey if you want. You can also use it to pay for a certificate program. And I want you to know that it would be a refund that you would get back. So this is something that you can do if you want. I personally, I love the smiley face there, just a joke, just a joke. But if you want to think about how you can use that, I don't want to put you into debt. If you have a low interest rate credit card or a 0 interest rate credit card, that might be a better option than doing a loan. But again, you could also just make payments, and we can discuss what works for you. And we'd send you a QuickBooks invoice. We send funds back to Pepperdine, and Pepperdine does generate those certificates. So if you have questions about that, I know some of you have my old, like Jute, you have my old Pepperdine cell. This is my real cell. Now you're in the real club. Okay, so it's my real cell. It all comes to the same number, but save that 310-721-0095. You can text me or call me there. That's the real number. Not that it was like a hidden thing, but it was easier for me to text you on the Google Voice line before. Now I'm going to open it up to Q&A. I do know Dr. Ng may have to hop in and out. He had some things happen with the city today and is on a call with the sheriff at the moment. Oh, he's back with us. So if you have questions, feel free to ask away. If you haven't seen this flyer, I want you to zero in. These are some testimonies here, one from Francesca Nesfield and one from Jason Kababik. I just want to mention Francesca was a PhD student. Jason Kababik had just finished his undergrad and wasn't even from Pepperdine. I think he was from Arizona somewhere. But those were from our first certificate program cohorts. We've now had 3 successful cohorts, one in October 2020, one in the spring of 2021, one in the fall of 2021. And we hope that you'll be in our next cohort starting in October. Again, these classes are on Zoom. It's every Saturday, but then there's a break after the 3rd week where you can kind of take all your learning and then jump into that final one on the 29th to do your presentation. Brittany, I see your hand raised.
Hi, yes. Well, thank you for hosting this. This was great. And I am so excited to be in the midst of this. My question I had was when you were talking about the curriculum and like how the class works, and on one of the slides it said present to client, and I was just wondering if you could just talk a bit more about what that all entails.
I'm going to jump in on that one because I think, you know, one of the things when Ed and I were in, I'm going at the snail mom pace in my doctorate, and Ed went at the lightning speed pace that this Renaissance man that he is. But one of the things we noticed within our program is the consulting project that you do, you source your own clients. So we kind of found a lot of people went for low-hanging fruit, like their family member's company or something that was already in their wheelhouse. And what we do is we go out and get different types of businesses. I know in our first cohort, we had one of the fastest moving startups in the nation. I think it was in the top 10 creative music group, and they were working on their market entry strategy in Asia. And that was a phenomenal project. We also worked with an electric power pod company that was looking at how they could work with various municipalities. In our next cohort, we worked with an $80+ million brewery out of Orange County. And that company even had a research analyst position open and was able to source through the cohort. And I mean, it was a huge project. One thing I will mention that I think this program teaches you is this concept of scope creep. You know, we have a very defined scope for what your project is going to be. And oftentimes people say, oh, can you just add a little more? And we really teach you how to monetize that addition. I've done it myself with a consulting project I did with a nonprofit that wanted me to do some things. And I said, I'm happy to do it, but it's this much. And then they wanted more. And I said, well, it's going to be double. And I got it. And I can credit this program for it. Ed, do you want to speak a little more to the client?
Yeah, so my experience in the doctoral program is like Rachel said, everybody went for low-hanging fruits. The application was not up to the level that I expected, maybe because I already have an MBA, but it just wasn't quite, I just didn't get the feedback that I wanted. For the learning wasn't there, was not quite there. So for this program, we're actually gonna go out there and we're gonna solicit and bring clients into you. And you don't have a choice. You have a choice to select, between 1, 2, or 3 clients, but you're going to get real-time feedback from the clients, whether or not your recommendations is on par, whether you're off on your strategy or off on your research. Yeah, so it's completely different. You're not going to have need to put in work to try to get a client. I am going to go out there and get them for you. And these clients could be startup, they could be in the music industry, they could be on social media, they could be retail. It's across the board.
Thank you, Ed. And I did get a question here in the chat from Yu Yung. Thank you for that. Everybody always asks, when's the next program going to be? And I will tell you, we're really year to year. We've had 3 certificate programs thus far. We do have a lot of interest from some other schools, specifically the CSU areas. We also have a big demand coming out of China and India right now from one of our cohort attendees in the past who had done 20 years of consulting work in the US and in China. And there's just a hot demand. So I can't promise you that we'll be back in the spring or the fall. I hope that we will. But it also just depends on, Ed has so many cooks in the kitchen right now. I want to say that if you want to do this, don't wait. I've had so many people come to me. One of my colleagues that I work with here in Malibu at Pepperdine that said, gosh, I wish I had done it when I started looking at it, because now this happened and then that happened. It's a couple of hours on a Saturday. You do a little bit of work in the afternoon when you're, kind of on your own time to get the research and the work done. It's worth every minute of it. So if you think you might want to do it, please join us this October. I do record all the sessions and I create an online toolkit for you. And if you have to miss a session, or if you have to step out a little earlier, join a little late, you will be able to have that material. However, the only class you can't miss is when you're presenting to your clients. I know Jason Kabatic, actually, who's there on this flyer, he presented from a plane. So I think, if you can make it work, I'd say try to make it work. And if you have questions, we do hope to offer it in the spring. However, what we found in the spring, there's a lot of international trips, especially with our GSEP students. And it gets a little bit like a chessboard, like, oh, this date moving over here. We found a kind of a sweet spot in October. So hopefully we'll continue to offer that. But Yu Yung, I'd love to see you in our cohort in October. Any other questions we can answer for you?
Can I jump in real fast, Rachel?
Sure.
Can I jump in? So essentially, I'm glad Leslie brought this up earlier. A lot of my students actually use this curriculum model, the structure, all the teaching for passive income. Most of them have great jobs. They don't really need the money, but they wanted to supplement what they already have. But I can tell you, 2 of them actually went on and got 2 big promotions applying the models that we taught them in strategy. And she became one of the go-to person to make presentations to the executive team. And I just heard from her last week. And yeah, so there are 2 ways. Even if you don't think you're going to start a consulting company, you will be able to add value where you're at. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Ed. How about you, Jite? I see your hand raised.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. I wanted to know, when is the date? Is the 29th the presentation date? As you know, we're in MSOD right now. We're in France at like the day after what would be our class with you, and then we're leaving the day after. We'll be leaving the day before the 29th. I'll still be there, but I just want to make sure that I prioritize that date. If the program works.
The presentations, if we try to work with our client schedule as well. So if the client says, hey, I can only be on at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., then if you're on that team, you're going to be presenting from 8 a.m. to 9. If the client says, hey, I've only got availability from 10 to 11, if they're kind of open, and I'll let Ed speak to that, but we really want you to be there to support your colleagues if we have multiple teams, which we've had in the past, but also to really show up and present, because this is your opportunity to shine. This is an opportunity, a work begets work opportunity where you could land a gig, you know, as a consultant for the firm, should they like the way you present and what you bring forth. Ed, would you like to add to that, or Leslie?
I think you said it correctly, and I don't have too much to add, but essentially it depends on the client. That's the day we would like to structure all the presentations on the same day. This is basically for efficiency purposes, but there are clients sometimes they say we can't make that date the last minute, then boom, you know what, is pushed back another week or a couple other days. But it really depends on your team and your client. And we don't know what that is right now, but as soon as we have the number of people, then we can start firming up our client list. But right now we don't know. But that's the day we're hoping everyone can present, so we can learn from one another as well.
Yes, I would also say that you are going to be assigned a very specific scope of assignment, right? So you may present one slide, you may present 2 or 3 slides where, if you are caught in a situation where you can't necessarily be face on the entire presentation, that is something that, that has happened in the cohorts before, but definitely when you present your slides, you just want to make sure that you're there, you're prepared. We've had other situations too, where maybe the client, not all of the client members can join. So they have also been able to get the recording, right? So it really just depends on the client. There was another point that I wanted to drive home and I can't remember it. It slipped my mind. So if I remember, I'll bring it back. But you definitely want to be able to showcase those, what you were assigned for that particular presentation. Oh, this is what I was going to say. The other cool part about the presenting day is that you don't necessarily know what the other teams are working on or what organization or to what depth they're consulting with the other company, right? So when the other teams present, that's also an opportunity for you to see your teams, be able to demonstrate what they learned during the cohort and how they were able to formulate their analysis and their recommendations. So at the very end of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel and Ed, but I believe that there's a section where the client also gets to give you feedback on the spot, and then your team, the entire cohort, gets to also give you feedback on the spot. So it is very, I mean, you're doing it on the spot and you're learning, you're gathering the feedback immediately after. You're not waiting to get the feedback. It's happening right there, and so I think that is one of the most valuable experiences as well, because it's like being in a real life scenario where you're consulting, right? You're face to face with another client and the client saying, where did you get this information? How did you come up with this? Or that was very insightful. I never thought about it that way. What made you think of it that way? And so you have the opportunity of walking the client through those findings and those recommendations. And again, it's invaluable. So I just wanted to add the piece on that.
No, absolutely. That's totally great. That's really insightful, Leslie. So far, I think the clients will actually give you real-time feedback, whether or not, if you come up with 4 recommendations, they may tell you these 2 we want to focus on. These 2 we already know, thank you. But the value that you add as a consultant really comes from that insights that they don't have, they haven't thought about. The low-hanging fruits, yeah, it's great, but what you're gonna learn through this curriculum is how to think about strategy and how to think about strategy from the client's point of view. And once you learn strategy, it's really be about data, how to look at data, research, and then, as Leslie said earlier, marketing and branding, and really how to structure your company. So once you realize that you now have the skills to add value to clients, you can begin to start your own company. So that's kind of the whole process.
I did want to add, you do sign an NDA, and I know some clients don't want it filmed. So if you can try to make sure that you're there on that October 29th, at least for your presentation slot, try to do that. Any other questions from the group? Feel free to text me, call me, email me. Also, you can see Dr. Ng's contact there as well. We want to help you make this happen. So if you're kind of spinning your wheels on how to make it happen, let me know. Otherwise, I really want to thank Jate, Patricia, Brittany, Golnaz, Victor, Ebony, Christina, Yu Young, Rosalind, and especially our esteemed alumna who's doing great work in the world, Janae. Thank you for being here. Hopefully we'll see you all in October and be sharing your story next time for the info session. Any last questions here?